What's up, Nashville? I want to talk a little bit about co-writing, and more specifically, co-writing with artists. The most important thing that you need to remember and think about when you are writing with an artist is writing something that's going to be believable for them to sing. Um, you want to make sure that you're not just forcing something that you think they should sing, because a lot of times you'll end up writing that song and they're just going to toss it aside. And, if it's not really for them, if it's not really what they want to say, if it doesn't fit their brand, etc., they're probably not going to end up recording it anyway. So you just want to make sure that whenever you do get together and you're writing with somebody, that you get to know them. Don't be in such a hurry. When you first start your write, take some time, take a half an hour and just talk and just find out. If you don't know that artist, find out who they are, find out what they like to sing about, find out what they don't like to sing about, and make sure that you are addressing, ideas that they like. And also, like for instance, yesterday I was writing with a young female artist and I had some ideas. I always try and prepare ideas before the write. And I had written with this girl, but it was like, I don't know, maybe a year ago. And I didn't really know where she was at and what she was trying to do with her artist career. And so we just sat and talked about it. Just talk about what are her goals, what's she chasing, what's she, and making sure that she has a good understanding of the music industry. And we talked a lot about that too. But I think that, I had these ideas, and as we got to talking, I was like, these ideas are not going to work for her. And it's not something that, we could go ahead and write this song, but it's not something that she's going to want to sing, because it was, she wants to, reach out to girls, and she is more of, how do you say it? More on the side of not being super suggestive, with her lyrics, and not, real sexual with her lyrics and stuff like that. And I had something, that was kind of maybe a little bit more suggestive, maybe a little more sexual and flirty and that kind of thing. And I don't think that was really going to work for her. So we got to talking about, who she is as an artist and what she's wanting to do. And, what we found, in talking, just, I said this one word and I was like, oh, I think this is going to be perfect for her. And she loved it. And so we were off to the races. Now we probably spent an hour talking before we ever wrote one word. And that's okay. It is okay to do that. Don't feel like you're in a rush. Make the time to sit with them and make sure that you're writing something that's going to be believable for them. And it's going to help their career. It's going to help move their career forward. Not something that's like, we all, get into the thing where we're writing every day and, all that, but, quality has to always win out all the time. I say this all the time, but good is the enemy of great. And I think that's something that we all need to be thinking about when we're writing, is that we cannot put out good songs. They have to be great. In Nashville, there's too many great songwriters here to be putting out something that's just like, oh, okay, well, we just got through it and we got done and we were done in an hour or whatever. Take the time. And if you don't finish it, it's okay. You can set up another write and finish it. And we didn't finish it because I was heading out to play a writer's night and I had to, kind of stop early. But we scheduled another write and we're going to finish this thing up. And I think she's excited about it. I'm excited about it. And also, we were talking about, where artists make their money, I talk about this a lot also. It's tickets and t-shirts, the two things where, an artist is going to make their money. And so be thinking about, when you're coming up with an idea, when you're writing with an artist, think about something that's going to help them to generate income through merchandising, with a great song title that's going to look good on a shirt that you think that everybody's going to buy it, whether they know the song or not. Maybe that saying or the song title, or maybe even some lyric in the song, is going to look good on a shirt. It's important because, at the end of the day, that selling that merchandise could be enough to put gas in the bus, to get you to the next venue, or, it could be, again, a big part of their income. So you want to be thinking about that and addressing those things when you're writing these songs. When you're writing stuff, you want to always be thinking about how's this going to, move this thing forward, and is this going to help to get a record label involved in this thing? Because at the end of the day, being an independent artist is good, but I think that your first, that should always be kind of a backup plan, as being an independent artist. I always think that, having a label involved and having the label that has, a larger amount of money that they can spend on promotion and stuff like that is always should be your first option, always. And if that doesn't work out, you can always, be an independent artist and stuff like that. But I think it's super important to be focused on, okay, is this going to build my brand? Is this going to make me attractive to a record label? And us as songwriters, we have to, sometimes help to make sure that we're encouraging that, because it's going to help us also, because if the label loves this artist and signs them to a record deal, and maybe your song is going to be the first single, you never know. And so, that's what we all have to be striving for at all points. I think that it's fun to write songs, but if we're doing this for a living and we're doing this, because we want to, be professional songwriters, we have to be approaching it as a profession. We have to treat this as a business. We have to, so that we find that place where business and art, commerce and art meet, so that we are, it's not all about business, but a lot of it is. And I think that you have to be thinking about that, but also, think about your artistry and think about the music, and make sure that the music is there, make sure that the artistry is there, but also make sure that it's something that's going to be commercially viable for that artist too. And I think in the long run, if you do that, I think you're going to have better results. So just my thoughts for the day. I was just doing that yesterday, so I wanted to record this right after we did it, and while I'm still thinking about it. But peace out. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these songwriter videos here, and there's going to be a lot of good content that I think you're going to want. All right, thanks.